Over there is writer Josh Applebaum. Followed by writer Andre Nemec, writer Evan Daughtry, actor Will Arnett, actor Megan Fox, producer Brad Fuller, producer Andrew Form, and filmmaker Jonathan Liebsman.
Nobody should have followed us. Here come the recording devices.
Oh, wait. I didn't know we were.
Will you get yours
do
out?
This too. Yeah, I'm going to record. Record myself.
Please return to their seats. I'll take your
I've had
devices.
this thing on all day.
That's fine.
Hi, everybody.
So if anyone who has a question, please raise their hand. We'll get a mic to them. And the gentleman in the blue shirt, please.
Yes, Ms. Fox. I guess all the questions at the Comic-Con already took all my questions, but all those fans. But let me ask you, because you got to kick Shredder's butt here in this movie. So there was some training as well, just like the Turtles did, for as far as fighting goes for you.
Was there fight training? We did initially start out doing some kickbox training. And then, you know, they would teach me sort of on site because we had an incredible stunt team. So they would teach us as we went along, and they were the best of the best. And I was pregnant also, so I couldn't do all of the stunts while I was filming. And what I couldn't do, we had an amazing stunt girl that would do the serious stuff for me. But I did what I could, and that was a lot because I'm a badass.
Azumi?
Hi, my question is for Megan as well. This movie's your character is a journalist, and you know, we are sitting this side. So, but you have the kind of little bit experience in this side point of view, I guess. So, how do you see the journalism right now? So, it's like we have a tabloid culture right now, and sometimes you are chasing by the journalist people. So how you change your perspective? Could you talk about that?
I mean, I think beyond like, you know, I'm not trying to tell you guys are becoming obsolete, but kind of everyone with an iPhone is a journalist in their own way now, especially because we live in a tabloid culture. So anyone is able to, you know, when you watch CNN and they're like giving you news based on tweets that people are sending out, like you realize that society is really changing, and the collective public have a really big voice now that they didn't previously have, and they're influencing sort of the trajectory of how we are socially with one another. And I don't know, I'm going to start getting metaphysical with you, but the point is, it didn't necessarily change my view of you guys so much. I mean, I think I realized that your job is much more tedious than maybe I realized previously. Like, you really got to keep track of a lot of shit.
Thanks, Megan. I was going to ask you, your character April, she is very fond of turtles, even as a little girl. And I was just wondering for you, did you have any either turtles or any kind of pets as a little girl? And, you know, what were your favorites?
I didn't have turtles because you have to keep them in cages, and I was always really against that, even when I was little. Apparently, Jonathan thinks that's funny. I had a black cat. She was a stray cat, and I named her Candy, and I thought she was magic. And what is so funny? Look at him.
Nothing.
He's too afraid to explain himself now. I had a black cat, and that was my favorite. I love cats, dogs. I've had ferrets, pigs, birds, all kinds of. I'm an animal person.
I wanted to piggyback on I'm right over here. Okay. I wanted to piggyback on something that you said. I thought that was very thoughtful, your answer about how you see the media now. But how do you know how much to give away and how much to keep?
I clearly haven't learned that lesson yet. I'm probably the worst person to ask. You know, I like to be open with you guys, and I like to be honest. I hate being disingenuous. It's just really uncomfortable for me. I don't excel in that. At doing that, but I've also learned that because of what you do, not you personally, so much of what I say gets sensationalized and sort of, you know, you have to report on scandal because that's what people are hungry to read about. And so even when I'm trying to be straightforward and honest and my comments are innocent, inevitably they get turned into something sort of salacious. So I don't have a good gauge on how to edit But my intention towards you is a good one. So you guys should all behave yourselves and be nice when you report on things that I say.
What it means to you to bring back to life the Ninja Turtles, and are you fans of the Turtles?
That's for everyone.
Yeah, for
I think
everybody.
this is for
Let's
you,
do it.
Megan.
No, let's
It's
do
all
it.
for
Let's do
Megan.
it.
No, that's for everyone.
We're all going to get out of here. You take this.
I'll go first, but I think everyone can answer. Obviously, especially you guys, because you brought the movie to life. I was just in it. I was a big fan as a kid. I had an older sister that was really into the movies, and so I got into it because of her. And I watched the cartoon also. I'm not going to claim that I read the comics because I didn't. And I don't want to get like stoned for claiming I did something that I didn't do. There you go. Anyone else want to jump on that?
No, we got a lot of questions out here.
Okay.
Hi, this one's for Jonathan. I was wondering, what do you think is the secret to the Turtles remaining so popular? I mean, this is 30 years of Turtles.
I was a fan of it in South Africa, watching the cartoons and the movies, and I think for me, what was so cool were the personalities of the Turtles. The fact that they were created as these absurd Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but were still relatable. I remember when I met Kevin Eastman, he was sort of camped out at Brad and Andrew's office, and he told me he created them as a parody on superheroes. And again, the fact that they're so absurd sort of makes you interested, but the fact that they're so relatable keeps you interested. And I think that's what will keep people interested even more than 30 years, no matter what the iteration of Ninja Turtles is, whether it's this movie or another cartoon series. They're so absurd, and that makes you want to watch. The fact that they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's the weirdest combination of things. But the fact that they're actually just normal personalities is what I think will keep us watching.
I kind of wanted to piggyback on that question as well with you, Jonathan, as the director coming in. When you talk about absurd, and then when you look at the special effects and using the CGI and all of that, looking back 20 years ago to what you could have done then versus now, what other kind of elements do you see bringing in,
Well, I think it's not only the special effects, it was, because Bay was involved, it allowed us to have an amount of money to create a scope and have special effects that we had seen successfully done in movies like Planet of the Apes, and allowed us to keep that bar raised, so to speak. But I think the real challenge of the movie is something that I would have to give credit to, not myself, but to people like the writers, because they didn't allow the technology to get in the way of the character's charm, which is what made me a fan in the first place. So it's almost like I get to piggyback off the script, the actors, and everything else. There's a huge team of people helping me, the producers, from keeping the technology getting away in the way of the charm. So no matter how sort of advanced filmmaking gets, I think the movies people will enjoy the most are the ones which are able to restrain and keep the story in the forefront. And I had a team, these guys all here, and about 300 people you can't see helping me do that. Yeah, exactly. As much as possible in this kind of movie.
Nathan, please.
So you mentioned that you're going for a little bit darker tone with the movie from the comics, and we saw some of the earlier designs of the Turtles, some of which were pretty dark. Where did you draw the line, and how did you decide what was too much and what was too little?
Which designs did you see? Were those probably those early ones from ILM?
Are you from comicbookmovie.com?
I am. Is that
It was the shirt.
I'm just saying. I read some of the stuff that you say. Okay?
I've got a
Just
feeling
know.
he's talking about old
Just know.
stuff.
Did we release anything?
Whatever.
I think we only released maquettes. We're the only thing that ever got out there.
What stuff did you see? Do you know specifically what it was?
They were early designs of Leonardo and Raphael.
I bet you it was that stuff. Yeah, so I think that this is where a guy like Bay is super helpful, because he reacts to things very instinctively, and we could show him something and he would say, that's too creepy, or that's too light, that's not enough. And I think he was always the gauge. Like, I'd go down a road and I'd get a bunch of designs and I'd bring it back to Mike, and sort of we'd do it together, and then I remember a particular trip to Miami with the writers. But basically, he sort of helped guide us to where we were. And what I love about the designs we have is, what was important to Mike was that the turtles were all distinct, which is unlike the cartoons or the previous movies. They just have bandanas. From his experience with Transformers, he wanted moms to be able to tell the different characters, and we made it our mission to sort of try and give each physicalities that would sort of dramatize, or in a physical way, their personalities. And so I'm forgetting the question, but essentially Bay helped keep us on that narrow path between what's too dark and what's too light.
Gentleman in blue shirt.
Hey there, Megan. So you've acted opposite Transformers, Turtles. What's it like acting opposite these sort of non-traditional characters? And is it easier than you'd heard it be? More challenging than you thought it would be?
Well, in this movie, when we were doing Transformers, Shy and I were sort of just screaming things at the sky. Like, we had no references at all at that point, because how can you? You're dealing with like 30-foot robots. But in this one, we had 4 actors that were really in like what I consider a stroke of genius, cast by Jonathan, because they were perfect for their roles and they really embodied them. And I don't know if you guys made them live together before the movie started. Did you make them do that?
I think
they spent a lot of time together, so they really interacted like brothers. And that, we do things when you're doing movies like this, like we'll do the scene with the actors, and then you have to do something called a clean plate without the actors there, so that if they want to use that shot, they don't have to paint them out before they paint the turtles in. And inevitably, in every single one of those, I was always significantly worse when the actors weren't with me. So they, because they were so good, they helped to make me a lot better. So whenever you have the opportunity to work with real people, that's always helpful.
Me? Oh, sorry. So I noticed that the turtles have a lot of high-tech gear, and that there was a very small amount of cowabunga. And so I wondered how you thought about taking them into the 21st century and updating the franchise. What were your thoughts, writers, directors, producer?
I think part of it was just, what do kids have today? They're teenagers, and so they're teenagers who have found their materials as part of refuse in the sewers. And so for us, it really was, just looking around and looking at, again, kids today and being like, what do they have? And giving those same objects and hoping to create a space that sort of replicated what a teenager bedroom looks like.
And knowing however much we were updating them, however much new technology they were using, however much their look was being updated, as long as the core of the brothers stayed, as long as they're, kind of having each other's backs, their personalities remained intact, it would always be honoring the franchise and who these characters are.
Is there a rule about no cowabunga, though? Or?
We've got to save it to the end.
Hi, this is for all of you guys. I watched the movie yesterday. I really love it personally, and my daughter too. But I went home and I did a little bit of research about what people think about, going to see the movie. And there's a lot of haters out there.
Why would you ever?
Why do you guys think about those people thinking that they even want to see the movie because they say you guys are crushing their dreams?
Let me tell you something about those people. How much money did Transformers 4 make? Exactly. Those people can complain. They all go to the theater. They all see his movies. They're going to love it. And if they don't love it, they can fuck off, and that's the end.
This question's from Megan. I heard you had an early.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Somebody else wants a soundbite out of Megan. Go ahead.
I have actually a question from a fan. It says, I guess you said that you had an early childhood crush on Michelangelo, and I wanted to know what it was like to work with that character on screen. Especially, it seems like you two had the most on-screen time as far as like you and the turtle, or Michelangelo?
Yeah, I mean, I think during shooting we sort of played around with that, where there was kind of a Raphael, April connection, and then it turned into Michelangelo. I mean, I think it's just that's totally up his alley. That's who, you know, he's always sort of been girl crazy, Mikey. That's his personality, and I'm happy that it turned out that way. But also Noel, the kid that plays him, is really a really talented actor, and I'm glad he steals the movie. It's, in my opinion, it's Mikey's movie.
This question is not for Megan.
Oh.
Maybe it's for Jonathan, maybe perhaps the writers. It was noticed that you did cast the gorgeous and talented Megan Fox, but yet April O'Neil was not overtly sexualized in this movie. Was it that intentional, and if so, what was the intention?
Well, yeah, for me it was because Megan's obviously incredibly sexy, and I don't think you need to... listen, it was important not to make a huge point out of trying to hide anything, but I don't think that's, for me, what Megan is about. And when I met Megan and got to know her, what comes across to me is someone who knows, who's much smarter than people give her credit for, and who knows that there's literally more to her than meets the eye. And I think that was something we wanted to put into... Yeah. That was something that I really wanted to put into April O'Neil. And I wasn't very interested in sexualizing her. Like, that's not what was interesting to me about April O'Neil. And I wasn't trying to service fans who look at Megan's Maxim pictures. I was servicing fans who love Ninja Turtles, and I think they're there to see the Ninja Turtles, and April's our window in. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers everything, but I just wasn't interested in sexualizing April O'Neil. I mean, I think she's sexy as is, so, you know.
Hi, this is a question for Jonathan and maybe the producers. With a lot of action heroes, superheroes these days, especially in the summer, do you think people were craving for a little bit goofier characters, more comic book heroes?
Well, I think that's a very timely question for this weekend, because Guardians of the Galaxy, which is that exact thing, is going to do great, and I think we'll do great next weekend. And I think there's a definite place for serious superhero movies. I love Batman films, and then more in the middle you have the Iron Man movies. But I do think when you have something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it is a parody, and it takes the piss out of superhero movies. And I think what the writers did great and what the producers encouraged, which was awesome, especially when you see it in front of an audience, is it's just supposed to be fun. It's not, that's what Ninja Turtles are. And I always err on the side of serious, but I'm so happy that everyone at this table sort of pulled the movie into the fun zone, because it's such a great ride, especially when you watch it with an audience. It has no pretenses to be anything else. And that's the charm of Ninja Turtles.
Somebody's,
somebody
we got a low battery.
Low battery situation. It's an Olympus Model T12. This is not serious reporting, by the way. I'm sorry. You are not a reporter. Please come collect this and leave.
On that note, this question is for Will. So what's your favorite Ninja Turtle memory? And do you think in the sequel, it's obvious your character has a crush on April. Do you think you have a chance against the turtle?
You think that came through? It wasn't really my character, but yes. My favorite turtle memory, I have a few kind of at different stages of my life, really. A younger brother who was really into the turtles years ago. And then right around the time, right before I kind of met with these guys, my young sons just organically started really getting into the turtles. And I kind of realized, I kind of sensed that there was something going on, that they were talking about the turtles, and I kept thinking, like, what are they talking about? And I realized they were watching on Nickelodeon the new animated Turtles show. And I started seeing all their friends, and then I started seeing their friends wearing Turtles t-shirts to school. And it was pretty remarkable to see an entire new generation respond organically, not sort of pushed into it, not as a sort of a vestige of the old Turtles, but entirely discover them on their own and fall in love with those characters in the same way. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. So that by the time I did come to meet these guys, I was really familiar with the the whole mythology, and yeah. So that was that. And what was the second part? Oh yeah, for April's affections. It's pretty early on in the movie that Vern sort of makes his lame attempt at romancing April, and he gives up on it quite quickly. And then Mikey moves in there, but he's hard to compete, with a turtle.
Christopher?
This is actually also for Will. Megan has obviously been in quite a few action movies, but this is your first big blockbuster. How did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It certainly on every level was a departure for me, and I learned a lot from Megan in the process of making this movie. There's something about, because Megan has done these big blockbuster movies, she has a certain there's like almost like a different language you speak in these kinds of movies, and and I got to say, there were moments on set. I remember once watching with Drew Andrew at one of the monitors, and seeing Megan in a shot, and the camera kind of moves in on her, and I remember looking at it, kind of looking at him, and he could see that there was like this understanding that, when you see Megan sometimes in certain frames, and there's a lot going on, there's a lot of action, she kind of makes you think of big summertime action blockbuster movie, and that there's a lot going on and everything's kind of breathless. And I was like, wow, this is a different, I'm just used to being a jackass. That wasn't a joke, guys.
Hey, this is for the writers. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about writing the script and any specific inspiration or iteration of the Turtles that inspired you guys, or sort of lay the groundwork for what you guys were doing with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I come at it more from, I was probably 6 years old when the animated series came out, so I kind of missed the graphic novel. So for me, the animated series and the first few live action films were really, that's what the Ninja Turtles are to me. It's different things to a lot of different people. We're talking about sort of fanboys, of which I consider myself one, latching on to whatever their version of Ninja Turtles is and kind of not wanting to let it go. But I tried to infuse a little bit of that energy into the work I did on it. I know.
Yeah, I was the original Eastman and Laird, the graphic novel. It was that and the first movie in '91. Those were my touchstones.
And I think the inspiration of the fact that it's a story about brothers, it's a story about family at the end of the day, that always sort of was a driving principle and something that we really wanted to live by.
Well, it was what I was going to ask. It's pretty similar. I just wanted to know the background of the Shredder, if you were inspired by a particular, Shredder of many iterations that they have been out, if you had something, like that inspired you, if you wanted to do a brand new Shredder.
I think the idea was to do a brand new Shredder. We knew we were going to use Shredder as the bad guy, and then John, really to his credit, developed Shredder out to sort of be this sort of awesome version that we had never seen before.
Suit figuring in this day and age, again, just like with the Foot Clan, there'd be certain things all these years later that would be modernized in terms of their gear, in terms of how they would be fighting. So, like with the Foot Clan and with Shredder, it was let's just take them into the new millennium.
Hi, this question's probably for the writers. When I went home from seeing the screening, I told my husband about the backstory, and when I told him about Splinter, he got a little upset. He was like, no, Splinter was a human. So I was just wondering about the decision to leave that out. Like, I don't know the comic, so I don't know if that's part of the comic, and if maybe you're saving it for TMNT too.
There are actually a lot of different origin stories to Splinter and Shredder and where the Turtles came from and the ooze, and so he's correct in one version of sort of the origin story, but there are a bunch of different origin stories, and we decided that it was up to us to tell a new origin story.
They decide, not your husband. So he can cool it.
Hi guys. Jonathan touched on this before, but Megan, I was wondering what your opinion was for April. Were you attracted to the role because she was a strong female that also didn't have to show her midriff like you did all the time in Transformers?
First of all, I don't mind doing that stuff. I think that's been, a part of being an actress in Hollywood since the beginning, and I don't feel ashamed or like I can't be taken seriously while also wearing a tank top. And if you don't take me seriously when I'm wearing a tank top, that's your fucking problem, not mine. I was attracted to this because I was a fan as a kid, and I really wanted to do this, and I got the opportunity to go in and have a meeting with them, and I went in, and I was there. It was Valentine's Day, and I went in, and we were in there, the three of us, for 5 hours at Paramount with my first meeting, and Brian was texting me, like, it's Valentine's Day, where are you? And I got home, and then I sent everyone emails saying, like, you know what? It's okay if you don't cast me. I understand. I just want you to know that I'm going to be in the audience regardless. And I
remember that email.
Yes, and I really campaigned to get this because I was a fan. And I'm afraid. I was afraid at the same time because you don't want to ruin something that you loved and be a part of its downfall. So of course I was terrified of like letting people down, but I had to do it because, it was iconic to me as a kid, and I just feel lucky to have gotten the opportunity.
Last question.
You were in Mexico City for a premiere.
Mhm.
How was the experience? Mexican fans?
Just me. Why don't you go? Why don't you say? Why don't you
Oh,
go
it
now?
was great. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm being funny. It was amazing, actually. I got to say that the response was fantastic. They were very. We were saying down there, like I wish that all premieres would be that sort of vocal and so full of excitement and life. And it was pretty amazing to see that there were so many Turtles fans down there. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. If you could let these guys leave and then go get your recording gear, we'd appreciate it.